All right, so today we're really diving deep into something that I think could be really valuable for a lot of people out there, especially if you're interested in drones
Absolutely.
and kind of, where the industry's going and how to really build the sustainable business in the space.
Totally agree.
And the resource that we're diving into is this ebook. It's called High Value Drone Services, a quick start guide to profitable drone service opportunities. It's a bit of a mouthful, but what I found really interesting right off the bat when I was kind of skimming through this is that it really hits on this idea that, like, the drone world's at this interesting point right now, right? Where, like, getting a drone in the air is not necessarily the hard part anymore.
Right.
The technology is becoming so accessible. But really the challenge now is figuring out, like, how do you actually turn that into a profitable, a long-term, sustainable business?
Absolutely. It's that transition, right? Like, we've all seen, especially those of us in the industry, like the barrier to entry in terms of, like, just getting a drone and getting it up in the air has just plummeted over the last few years.
Totally.
But at the same time, that's actually driving up, in a lot of ways, the potential value.
Oh, interesting.
Like the things that you can do with drones now, and like the level of sophistication and integration you can achieve is so much higher.
Right.
So it's almost like this paradox where it's easier to get started, but the ceiling is so much higher.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and that's what this ebook really gets into. It's not just about, like, here's how to fly a drone. It's about, like, here's how to understand the market, understand the business side of it, and really position yourself to be, offering those high value services that are, really command those those premiums in the market.
Like a race to the bottom, right? Like, who can offer the cheapest, aerial photography package?
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to get stuck in that commodity trap.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And the ebook does a really good job of laying out kind of like these key market shifts that are happening right now.
Yeah, what are some of those?
Well, I mean, you kind of touched on one of them, right?
Yeah.
Which is that, those basic services, like simple aerial photography, even just basic inspections, those margins are getting thinner and thinner.
Yeah.
Because more people can do it.
Right.
The technology is more accessible, so you've got more competition at that basic level.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what we're seeing is that enterprise clients, like big companies, organizations, they're actually looking for more from drones now.
Okay.
It's not just about getting, like, a pretty picture from the air anymore.
Yeah, they want solutions. They want solutions. Exactly.
Specific problems.
And they're willing to pay for those solutions. So you've got this really interesting dynamic where the basic stuff is becoming commoditized, but then there's this whole other level emerging where the value is actually increasing and the demand is going up.
So, like, what are some examples of those kinds of, like, higher value solutions that, maybe this ebook is talking about?
Well, we'll get into the specifics, I think, a little bit later. But just to give you a taste, we're talking about things like integrating drone data directly into, like construction workflows.
Okay.
So not just taking pictures of a construction site, but actually creating, like, 3D models that can be used to track progress, identify potential problems. In agriculture, it's not just about, like, getting a sense of how healthy your crops are. It's about using, like, multispectral imagery to actually get really granular data on, plant health, soil conditions.
So it's like actionable intelligence.
Exactly. Actionable intelligence.
Not just pretty pictures.
Not just pretty pictures.
Yeah.
And then, you've got things like inspection and asset management for infrastructure.
Yeah.
So, using drones to inspect bridges, power lines, pipelines, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And again, it's not just about, like, flying around and taking pictures. It's about collecting data that can be used to, make informed decisions about maintenance, repairs, all that.
So this ebook really seems like it's for pretty broad range of people, potentially, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Like, if you're already a drone operator.
If you're already a drone operator and you're, maybe you're feeling a little bit squeezed by, the competition at that basic level.
Yeah, like you're kind of hitting a ceiling with what you're able to charge and kind of the services you're offering.
This ebook can really help you like level up, right?
Yeah.
Figure out how to move into those higher value areas.
Right.
But it's also great for, maybe you're a business owner and you're thinking about like, how can I use drones to improve my operations, save money, whatever it might be.
Get a competitive advantage.
Yeah, get a competitive advantage.
Yeah.
And even, if you're just someone who's like thinking about getting into the drone world, this is a great resource because it kind of gives you that big picture view.
So it helps you start on the right foot.
Exactly. Yeah. Start on the right foot. Avoid some of those common pitfalls.
Don't get stuck in the commodity trap.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I guess what we're going to try to do in this deep dive is really like, pull out like why should someone buy this ebook?
Yeah, what are the key takeaways, right? Like why is this worth your time and money?
Exactly. And to add to that, we also took a look at this YouTube video from the Do No Drones channel.
Yeah, I've seen those guys. They're good.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's called Nobody Buys Drone Services.
Yeah.
Here's what they really want.
Okay.
And the guy who's presenting it is Jason Sansi.
Yeah.
And his like main point is really aligned with what this ebook is talking about.
Oh, okay. So there's some synergy there.
Yeah, totally. It's like, people aren't just buying drone flights, they're buying solutions to your problems.
And that's the key, right? It's understanding that you're not selling a service, you're selling a solution.
Right, exactly.
And this video does a really good job of kind of hammering that point home.
Yeah, it's very practical, and it kind of like gives you a framework for how to think about that.
Yeah.
Like, how do you actually position yourself as a solutions provider, not just
a drone pilot,
a drone operator?
Exactly.
So let's jump into the ebook.
Okay, sounds good.
One of the first things that really stood out to me is how it identifies these like profitable niches.
Yes.
Right? Like where are the real opportunities?
Yeah, that's critical, right? Because like we were saying, you don't want to just be competing on price.
Right.
You want to be in an area where there's, high demand and people are willing to pay for real value.
Right, for specialized knowledge and real solutions.
Expertise.
So based on I think it was chapter 2 to the ebook, they outline these like top 5 most profitable drone service niches.
Okay, yeah, let's hear it. What are they?
And this is for 2025, so it's kind of like looking ahead.
Okay, so kind of like forecasting where the market's going.
Exactly. So the first one, and they really emphasize this one, is infrastructure inspection and asset management.
Yeah, that's a big one, right?
Yeah, and I think like what's interesting about this is that it's not just about like going and taking pictures of a bridge,
right,
or a power line. It's about
it's about
really like deep integration with the companies that are managing these assets.
Right, and it's about understanding the specific needs of those companies, right? Like they're not just looking for pretty pictures, they're looking for data.
Right.
They're looking for insights that can help them, make better decisions about how to manage their assets, how to, keep them safe, keep them operational.
And it's a huge market.
Oh, it's massive.
Think about all the infrastructure.
Yeah, just think about like all the roads and bridges and power lines and pipelines.
Yeah.
I mean, it's endless.
And it's all aging.
Exactly. It's all aging. It all needs to be inspected regularly.
Right.
So yeah, the demand is there and the budgets are there too.
Yeah, the ebook mentioned that some of these like utility companies and stuff are spending over $1 million a year on these inspection programs.
Yeah, because if you think about it, like the cost of failure is so high.
Of not inspecting.
Yeah, if a bridge collapses or a power line goes down, I mean, that's catastrophic.
Right.
So they're willing to invest in prevention,
right.
and that's where drones really shine.
Yeah, so it's not just about like saving money on the inspection itself.
It's about preventing those huge costs down the line.
So it's a really compelling value proposition.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the second niche that they highlight is construction progress monitoring and BIM integration.
Okay, yeah, BIM, that's a hot topic in construction these days.
Yeah, so for people who aren't familiar, BIM stands for Building Information Modeling.
Right, and it's basically like...
And it's essentially like a digital 3D model of a building or a structure.
Yeah, it's like a digital twin of the real building.
Right. And what's interesting is that drones are now being used to, like, feed data into these BIM models.
Yeah, so you're taking, like, real-world data from the drone, and you're integrating it with the digital model.
Right. So you can see, like, how the construction is actually progressing.
Yeah, and you can compare that to the plan and see if there are any discrepancies, if things are on schedule.
Yeah, so it's like a really powerful tool for
it's a game changer.
Project management.
Yeah, it's like having like X-ray vision for your construction site.
Yeah, and the ebook really emphasizes that. Like the successful drone service providers in this space aren't just, taking pictures and handing them over.
No.
They're
analyzing the data.
Interpreting that data and providing actionable insights.
And recommendations.
Yeah.
So they're really becoming like partners with the construction companies.
So they're helping them make better decisions and ultimately improve the project outcome.
Outcomes, exactly.
Okay, so the third niche that they talk about is precision agriculture.
Okay, yeah, agriculture, that's another one that's just exploding right now.
And again, it's not just about like taking pictures of fields.
No.
It's about like really using
data
to make better decisions about
to optimize everything.
How to manage those crops.
Exactly. So we're talking about things like using multispectral imagery to assess plant health, identify areas that need more water or fertilizer. Even things like identifying pest infestations early on.
Yeah.
So you can, target your treatments more effectively.
Right.
So it's all about like maximizing yield, minimizing inputs.
Right. So it's about efficiency and sustainability.
Exactly. And the key here, the ebook really emphasizes this, is that you've got to be able to like translate that data into something that's actionable for the farmer.
Yeah, they need to be able to actually use that information to make changes.
Yeah, so it's not just about like, here's a pretty map of your field. It's like, here's what you need to do to improve your yields, to, save money on fertilizer.
And the ebook kind of gives you the tools
Exactly. It gives you the framework
to do that.
To understand like how to collect the right data, how to analyze it, and how to communicate those insights.
Okay, the fourth niche that they highlight is mining and aggregate operations.
Okay, so that's a bit more of a niche market, right?
It is, but it's a really interesting one because it's very demanding in terms of the accuracy and the precision.
Right, and the regulations
that are required.
Yeah.
So you're talking about things like, using drones to measure stockpiles.
Right. So you need like really precise measurements to track inventory.
And they're using technologies like photogrammetry and LiDAR.
Yeah, LiDAR, that's amazing stuff.
It's incredible. It can create these like super detailed...
Yeah, it's like 3D laser scanning.
3D models.
Yeah, super accurate.
Yeah, and the ebook talks about how like in this space, success really comes from being able to like integrate that data into the existing workflows of the mining company.
So it's not just about like giving them a data dump. It's about like making that data useful.
Yeah, making it actionable, making it easy for them to actually use it.
And that often involves like custom software development and things like that, which is a whole other level of service.
Yeah, so it's a very specialized area.
Very specialized.
And then the fifth and final niche that they highlight is emergency response and public safety.
Yeah, that's a really important one.
Yeah, and this is where drones can really like make a difference in terms of
saving lives.
Saving lives and
yeah, and it's a rapidly growing area because, public safety agencies are realizing how valuable drones can be in these situations.
Yeah, so you're talking about things like search and rescue operations.
Right, using thermal imaging to find, missing people, providing situational awareness to first responders.
Right, like at an accident scene.
Yeah, at an accident scene, a fire, a natural disaster.
Yeah.
And then also, post-disaster assessments.
Right, to kind of get a sense of...
Yeah, to assess the damage.
Scope of the damage.
Quickly and safely.
And the ebook points out that, like, success in this space requires a lot more than just, like being able to fly a drone.
It's about having the right equipment, having the right training.
Yeah, like specialized training.
Yeah, being able to operate in challenging environments.
Right.
And also, often being available 24/7.
Right, because these emergencies can happen at
exactly. So it's a demanding niche, but it's also one where you can really make a difference.
Yeah, and I think like what's interesting about all 5 of these niches is that they all represent this shift away from basic drone services
towards like higher value.
Towards those higher value solutions.
And that's really the core message of the ebook.
Right. It's about understanding that there's more to this industry than just, flying a drone and taking pictures.
Yeah, you've got to be able to solve problems, to deliver real value.
So, okay, so we've talked about like where the opportunities are.
Right.
But the ebook also goes into like how do you actually
how do you actually get there?
Get there, right? How do you actually build a successful business?
Exactly, because it's one thing to know where the opportunities are, but it's another thing to actually be able to capitalize on them.
Right.
And that's where the ebook really shines.
Yeah, so the quick start guide in chapter 1, they really delve into this.
Yeah.
And the first thing that they emphasize is like you have to assess your current position.
Yeah. Self-awareness is key.
Yeah, like where are you starting from?
Exactly. Like what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your resources?
Yeah, and the ebook it actually provides this like framework for doing this.
Oh, cool. Like a self-assessment kind of thing.
Yeah, so it helps you kind of go through these different areas and really like think critically about like, where you're at and what your
starting point
is.
Yeah.
And then they introduce this concept of a market entry decision matrix.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, and basically what this does is it helps you evaluate different opportunities based on like 3 key factors.
Okay.
So first is like the market opportunity itself.
Right, like how big is the market?
Yeah, like how much demand is there?
Yes, it's growing.
Second is like the capabilities that are required.
Right. So what do you need to be able to do?
Yeah, what skills do you need? What equipment do you need?
Yeah, what kind of expertise do you need?
And then third is the risk assessment.
Okay, so what are the potential challenges?
Yeah, like what could go wrong?
Yeah, what are the things you need to be aware of?
And by kind of scoring each of these areas, the matrix helps you determine, like, is this a good opportunity for you?
Right. So it's like a go no go kind of decision.
Yeah, and it helps you kind of categorize the opportunity as like enterprise, specialized, or basic.
Okay, so it gives you a sense of like the level of sophistication and resources.
Yeah, and the level of risk too.
Right.
So after you've kind of assessed your position
Yeah.
and you've used this matrix to evaluate some opportunities, the ebook then really emphasizes the importance of
Right.
developing your core capabilities.
Yeah, so this is about like building your skill set,
Yeah.
building your expertise.
And it's not just about being a good drone pilot.
Oh, it's much more than that.
It's about understanding the industry.
Yeah, understanding the industry, understanding the client's needs.
Being able to collect, process, and analyze data.
Right, and being able to communicate those insights effectively.
Yeah, and the ebook also talks about the importance of having like quality management system.
Right, so this is about like having standardized procedures.
Yeah, so that you can deliver consistent, reliable results.
Exactly, and it's also about building trust with your clients because if they know that you have these systems in place, they're going to be more confident.
You're going to deliver what you promise.
And that's huge because in these high-value niches, trust is everything.
Right, and this kind of echoes what Jason Sansey was talking about in this Do You Know Drones video.
Right, that whole idea of...
Yeah, he was really emphasizing the importance of not competing on price.
Exactly, don't be the cheapest.
But really, like understanding your client's needs.
Yeah, understand their problems.
And delivering value.
And deliver solutions.
Yeah, and the ebook provides a framework for how to do that.
Yeah, it gives you the tools and the strategies.
So another key principle that the ebook emphasizes is this shift towards value-based pricing.
Ah, yes, value-based pricing, that's crucial.
And the ability to like really demonstrate a strong return on investment, or ROI, for your clients.
ROI, that's the magic word.
And chapter 1, they have this pricing and ROI framework.
Okay, so they really break it down.
Yeah, they really go into detail about how to make this shift.
And it's a big shift, right?
It is, yeah, because it's really moving away from this idea of like billing for flight time.
Right, or the number of pictures you take.
Right, and instead it's about focusing on the outcome.
Outcomes, exactly.
Like, what are you actually helping the client achieve?
Yeah, and how much is that worth to them?
And they introduced this market tier structure, which basically helps you understand how different levels of service command different pricing structures.
So like basic services versus more specialized services.
Right, so if you're offering those higher value solutions,
you can command a higher price.
You can and should charge more.
Right, because you're delivering more value.
And then to really make this idea of ROI concrete, they have this ROI metrics by sector table.
Okay, so this is like specific examples.
Yeah, so it shows like the kinds of cost savings, time efficiencies, quality improvements that drone services have been shown to deliver.
In different industries.
Yeah, so for example, in infrastructure inspections, they highlight potential cost reductions of 30 to 50% compared to traditional methods.
That's huge.
And then in construction progress monitoring, they talk about time savings of 20 to 30%.
So those are like real numbers.
Yeah, so these are figures that you can actually use when you're talking to clients.
Yeah, to show them the bottom line impact of using your services.
And then they break down these